So my name is Kathi. I'm from Austria, and I'm also part of the Highlines. And maybe some of you know Flo Zoller. He was also part of the safety event yesterday. I already want to say in advance thanks to Thomas, to you, and also to Ramon, because they actually helped me summarizing everything and figuring everything out. So a big thank you to you. First of all, I have this really good friend of mine. He actually spends more time with birds than with humans, and I learned a lot from him the last years. And he's actually the reason why I'm here today. Unfortunately, he's not around today. So already in advance, if there are like very specific questions about birds in specific, maybe we need to summarize these questions and hand it to someone who can give us like expertise answers to that. So today we're actually here to kind of get like a short journey into the world of birds and also like thinking globally. I try to keep it like very short and also trying to create a place where we can talk about experiences, problems, legalizing highline spots and everything. Because I think the whole bird protection topic is not such a big topic if you're just rigging highlines without permission, like in the gray zone. But as soon as you start like trying to legalize highlines and also get the work together with authorities and national parks, you won't get around this topic. And I always say like, just because we can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. And at the very same time, like ignorance can sometimes be our biggest enemy, even though it's sometimes like a little bit of work and annoying thinking about all these things. I think we as a highline community worldwide, we should give it like some attention because it's actually very interesting. And yeah, it's also important to work together in this whole thing. So for us, it's very important to be mindful and also try to keep the highlining sustainable, which means we have to obtain the information on specific locations. And this one is like a little bit with a Swiss touch, so I keep it that way. For example, you can, if you want to rig a highline somewhere, you could also get information from your local federations. So for example, the Vogelwald or the Wildtut, or also the national parks around. Which is actually like very okay, perfect. So like an overview, I just want to talk with you about like bird sanctuaries, breeding areas, our impact on the habitat of birds and what we could do in the future. So the most important thing for me today is just raising awareness on this topic and also telling you like about the specific and rare bird species, and also that they have like all different traditions and ways of living, which means if they don't have like any interruptions, they just come back every year again. They have the same breeding areas, they share breeding areas and with other birds. And for us as non-specialists, it's very hard to judge. And that's also like one of the main problems we had when we were working together on legalizing highline spots, because we had too less knowledge. And also if you're not surrounded by a topic, a lot of times you don't give it so much weight. And sometimes it's really our responsibility to get information and also respect if people tell us what can happen and what is just not going to happen. And actually what we don't know much is in the internet we find like lots of demographical graphics where we can see where most of our birds are actually living and how they are traveling and everything. And yeah, can you go to the next one, please? So I think maybe one very important aspect are the breeding areas. And Europe has actually for every country an atlas, and they, how do you call it? They update it every year. So it's a very specific atlas for us. And as I already said, like some specific birds share their breeding and feeding grounds. And there's one very interesting bird. It's called the wall creeper. I just want to give you that example just to see like how far this ranges. So the wall creeper actually is in most parts of of the Balkans, of the high mountain ranges of East and Central Asia, and also the Caucasus. So sometimes they travel like hundreds of kilometers if one environment is not good enough for them. And they mostly are found in alpine areas. And as we know, we also do lots of alpine highlines, and this is sometimes like a topic. And if we interrupt them, of course, they might not come back again. So we kind of like destroy their habitat on living. And it's very important also for us to somehow maintain the relationship between the local authorities and us. And I know it's a little bit of a, I don't know, sometimes we don't really want to accept it, but also like same with climbing areas. We have climbing areas where we are not to climb in specific months. For example, most of it from March to August or something. And that's a long season. I mean, that's like the main season of highlining, I would say. And of course, then it's not so easy to cooperate everything. And yeah, but we somehow should be aware of that also we have to follow some rules, at least when it's officially and when we go the official way. Thomas, next one, please. And of course, as I already said, like we have some negative effects on breeding areas, especially when we go, for example, in March or April somewhere, and the ongoing research and monitoring can be interrupted by us. And also the bird species, and we threat their existence. So it's very nice with the graphics down there. You can see like where birds travel to and like how far they go to places. And I think for us, it's sometimes not very close to our minds that we understand the impact we have. Of course, we all like want to highline and we want to be outside, but we can't take us as humans as the most important thing, because as I already said, as soon as you start working together with national parks and you're trying to legalize something or trying to tolerate highline spots, you can't tell like, well, we don't know about it, or is it really so important? Because it actually is. I remember it from our local community. We were able to legalize free highline spots, and I remember sitting at the Naturpark Karwendel, and we were sitting on a very big table, and then now out of nothing he brought us the maps, and the maps were huge, and then he showed us like all the breeding areas, all the different birds which are where, and then already like lots of places and spots were just out of our control, or let's say we couldn't figure out any solution for everyone. Yeah. Next one, please. And with that, I also come to like the visibility of highlines. As we know, highlines are most of the time temporary obstacles, and there's most of the time the problem of the colors to contrast to the background. So, for example, if you set up a highline in the snow and you use a white main line and a white backup, it's going to be very difficult for surrounding birds to see this highline. And there can always be injuries and also collisions. I think maybe highlines are, I would say, I assume less of a problem than tag lines and fishing lines. I think the biggest problem is actually the fishing line. Even when I'm somewhere at our local spot, I look up and sometimes I can't see the fishing line, because when it's all green and you have just this thin line, it's very difficult to see. And birds usually have a very good sight, but like bigger birds like eagles, they don't have like the best sight, so they really trust on their knowledge and what they experienced in the past. And as we also know, there's the problem with wind power systems. And what is the problem about these wind power systems and why birds fly into that? Wind power systems are mostly in the direction that the wind comes the perfect way, and also birds use that wind. And so with that wind, they also fly in the systems. And yeah, so it's it's sometimes very interesting to compare different situations. Like, why is I don't know the English word, Hochseilgarten, sometimes okay for birds, and why is a slackline not? Why are wind power systems okay, and electricity and everything? So it's kind of like we're a minority, and not everyone is highlining. So it's not like we need it to survive. That's sometimes the answer what we get. So next one, please. So as we all know, and in general, when we spend time in the nature, we should, or like the problems caused by humans are usually like the same, like music and noise, feeding and litter, damage to nest, and also most of all when we interrupt the breeding and the rearing season. And what we could do to like at least minimize our impact is to avoid music and excessive noise. We do not feed them or leave waste. We inform ourselves about the highline spot, and we are aware and make considerate decisions, which is not always super easy, but I think we should try our best to somehow make it like long lasting and sustainable. Is there another one, Thomas? Yeah. What we can actually like really do is how I wrote it down there: think, talk, and act. So it's kind of like think about it, give attention to the topic, promote information flow and exchange in the community. I think we can achieve a lot when we talk with each other, when we share experiences, problems. Like lots of us are working together with official parties, which is super interesting, and also helping other communities to maybe get a better understanding of this whole topic. And also like exercise respect and tolerance. I think as if we take ourselves always like as the most important one, we might not get so far. So if we maybe step a step back, think about these things, we could find a way of finding a way of respect and tolerance for us and also for authorities, and maybe working together, because as we know, highlining is not known by everyone, and if we try, for example, legalizing a spot, it takes us lots of conversations and understanding and transparency to really get something done. So actually it took me a while until I'm done right now, but that's like the most important things I wanted to share. And I know the topic is not like very known by everyone, because sometimes we forget it. Even we do sometimes when we go to our local spots, we also sometimes forget about it a little bit. But as I said, it's more about when we do something, when we try to do something officially, and also be more aware of it. And we should try to keep the mother nature and also our animals healthy and alive. That would be our main goal. So I don't know if any one of you ever experienced anything with birds and officials or something, and we can just talk. Because now I see that someone raised their hand, and then it's like open queue. What is this? Anybody knows?
It's fine. It's just to see the queue of the raising hand. In fact, in Belgium, we have kind of the same, but with a climbing site. As you said, it's something that people already know, because we have like some owls and other in some climbing site in Belgium. So we need to respect the nesting time and other. But so some area are closed, but it's because there is a good kind of how you say that? People are aware of which birds and other are nesting at those places. So we know, but for other places, like it's not really possible to have information about that, or it's, more difficult. And there on climbing sites, it's mainly some specific birds. So yeah, it's difficult to have information about all the birds and what they need, what they. So yeah, it's something maybe difficult to know. So it's maybe it's mainly yeah, in Belgium it's mainly about owls and or you say that in
You mean holes in the mountain ranges, or holes? You said, what is that?
We don't have mountains in Belgium, so it's.
Oh, yeah, true. Belgium is.
yeah, there is also oaks.
Oaks.
Oaks, yeah, there is also oaks and hogs and other species like that, like this. But for like smaller birds and other, there is like no information about it.
Yeah, I think like one of the aspects is that climbing areas are actually here for a very long time, and I think it took them also some time to like specify and like the mountain area, the climbing areas, and also what kind of birds are there. With highlining, it's somehow like we choose a spot and it's somewhere, and we don't know who to talk to. And I think exactly because of the lack of information flow, we sometimes know not too much about it. And I think that's like the work of the future or the next years to somehow cooperate more. And even if that means like you go somewhere, you ask a question, and even if they say like, I can't help you, I mean, at least you asked, and maybe they know someone else who can give us better informations. So it's something which we kind of have to, get the informations independently in a way. So it's very difficult. That's very true.
Yeah, that's the point I wanted to make, that it's really difficult to have this information. Probably you were really involved those last months or years, I don't know, and that's why you have maybe more information about that, and it's really important to have this talk, because it's something not really known. And but it's really difficult, and I don't know what can we make about it, maybe. But just talk about it, but that's already a point. And my second question was about highlines in general, and also some specific spot, like if they are highly used or even perma-rigs. Do we know if there is really an impact? I know, there is an impact if you have a perma-rig, and people always go at the same place. That will disturb the nature at this place. But for birds, they will also be aware of the line and other. So it's a perma-rig. It's not really important about the line and signalization and other. I don't know. It's a perma-rig, or if it's a random rig happening, appearing appearing during the day, and they don't know about it. I don't know. It's if so of course we disturb the place, but if the line is always at the same place, and the birds are not stupid, they know about it. So
I think that's I cannot answer this one, because I'm not always at the same spot. For example, I think a scientific survey, for example, would be very interesting, like a long time study, for example, where you like choose a place and also observe that place, for example, for a year. If you have a perma-rig for 6 months, and imagine somebody would do a survey on this one, then we could have like more specific answers. So I can't just say, just because the line is now here for 3 months, the birds get used to it. That would be something what I assume, and that's not in my hands somehow. So that's the thing, like it's such a big zone of where we don't know where we are standing and what we can do. So it's very difficult to answer that also. Or any other opinions on this one? I think like Johan and Peter also are trying to say something.
Yes, maybe I continue just to, I don't know, because I'm from Belgium, so it's essentially, like Laurent, you're right, it's hard to find this information, but I don't think we always have to search it ourselves. Like in Belgium, actually, our community is starting to grow really fast now, and we opening more and more areas to Highline, actually, and mostly we use the climbing areas, which are already there. We have a good contact with the climbing association, so yeah, we use a lot of climbing areas, but it also means that most of the climbing areas get suddenly bigger because we use two sides of the space, or we use, or we cross the whole space, or we have different owners and stuff. So suddenly you come into different land parts or different ownership stuff, and we always hit up or we always come into contact with the nature protection. I forgot the name now. It's a French name. The Nature Protection Agency, and we already had this discussion before. Like there are really beautiful spots which we haven't highlighted yet because they were too big for us, or we only found them recently. And you have two options there. It's like you can squat them, like you can do the guerrilla rigging and do it fast and be gone. But I'm more like for like, no, it's nicer to actually start a conversation, try to legalize these spots because they're super beautiful. We need more spots, even if it's only meant that you can rig the line maybe once a year. I mean, maybe there's only one period in the year, like you said, maybe not during summer, but maybe only in winter where you can rig the line. All the rest is forbidden because of birds and nature stuff or other animals nesting. I mean, I'd rather go for like 20 spots like this than one spot. So if you can spread it out a bit over the year, then it's nice that you have a lot of different spots where you can go depending on which time of the year you can go there. So, and actually, then another thing what Laurent said, the impact on the birds is really there actually. Like we already noticed it with urban lines. We do a lot of urban lines. And one of the first projects that we did was in these old abandoned buildings from a brewery. It wasn't in the middle of the city, but we used to abandoned buildings. And normally they're full of pigeons. Like there are pigeons everywhere, like in every corner you can find nests and stuff. But we were there for 3 days, and those 3 days we hardly see any pigeon. Like they only returned when we started de-rigging. So
you saw what?
Yeah, we only started return when we started de-rigging the lines, and we had 5 lines up between these buildings, so we were like everywhere between these buildings, and yeah, the pigeons were not so happy with it. They were hiding more. Okay, they're small birds, and I guess because of the shape and the space we invade, we look like predators or disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there is an impact for sure. I mean, you can't ignore it.
Yeah, I also think sometimes if we ignore that whole topic, what kind of light does it shine on like us slackliners and highliners? Because I don't want to live in this world where people think about the highliners like they don't care, or I don't know, like, because if you don't know something about the sports, they much rather call us like, okay, what are they doing? Like, that's crazy and everything, as we know already. So, and I also would like if like highlining would get more into that normalization. Same like climbing is a sport, highlining is a sport, and yeah, it's hard. Like it's just very hard, as we see from experiences and also from your story, and yeah. But we will always have an impact, and it doesn't matter if it's like skiing or climbing or hiking or paragliding or anything else. We have an aspect of all of it, and as I said today, like we're not gonna change the world, but we can try to be as much aware as it's possible for us, and just not ignore it and work together in a way, which is still like, yeah, it's never going to be like the end solution. There's never going to be an end solution to this whole thing. It's like an ongoing topic. but it's also very nice to hear from your experiences, because I think if we hear other people and their stories, our image and the whole topic gets a little bit bigger and we get a bigger overview. And I think that's also very important.
Yes, thank you,
Katharina, for this wonderful talk and answering the questions. We have one last question maybe from Peter. Maybe a short one.
I wanted to quickly ask something a little bit into the other direction. Are there any known instances where birds have been harmful to the slackline? So destroyed any gear or like made it compromised in any way?
I had lots of birds shit on my Highline, but I don't know if this is dangerous. I've never measured it.
You should test those, yeah. Send it to Ryan if you can't.
I also can't really tell. I feel like when we highline, we don't really see the birds. I don't know what's happening when we're not there and everything gets quiet again, and they know now the people are gone, but the highline is still there. But I remember this one picture from Lewis from England. He posted once the picture with the highline and like I think hundreds of birds on the line. So I was like, I mean, they know that it's there somehow. Just it always depends on the area. But
I wonder if the claws can harm it or if they pick at it with their beaks. I mean, I definitely know of instances where rodents were biting on anchors and stuff, so that's very well known. And I mean, I guess it's or in Turkey you always have sheep around that can start biting on your anchors. So that's why I was also interested in any known instances for birds, but I haven't heard of anything.
No, nothing in the accident and incident report so far. Okay, let's finish this talk. Thanks again, Katharina. Awesome talk, important topic.
Also, the Nature and Active Commission, they have a working group on birds and active issues. So they are writing or starting to write a publication about birds and our impact on their natural habitat. So if someone's interested in joining that, you're more than welcome to let us know.
Cool. And also thanks for everyone for listening and paying attention and being active here. So, and also for you all organizing all of it. So thanks.